Hey, welcome back into another episode. Today, I'm very excited to speak with Mike Dugar, who is the Seattle Seahawks reporter with The Athletic. He also has the Seahawks Man to Man podcast. So be sure to go to www.theatheletic.com and connect with him, subscribe, connect with him on that platform. He's an amazing writer and covers the Seahawks with excellence. So without further ado, here's Mike. Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm speaking with Mike Dugar, who writes for theatheletic.com covering the Seattle Seahawks, also the Seahawks Man to Man podcast. Mike, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on. So I kind of wanted to get started talking about your writing career and your first day on the beat covering the Seattle Seahawks. Do you remember what that was like? Where it was? What were the sights, the sounds? Taking you back a little bit, throwback right there.
Let's see. Dang, that's a good question. So I remember my first day. I believe my first day on the Seahawks beat, because I used to cover the Seahawks for the SeattlePI.com. And I was covering all sports at the time. So I think my first day on the job is covering the day Ken Griffey Jr.'s statue went up in front of the Mariners facility. But my first Seahawks day, I'm pretty sure is the 2017 NFL Draft. Very intimidating day because for people who don't know, like you don't watch the draft from the crib. When you're a beat writer, you go to wherever your team's facility is. Here, it's like outside of Seattle. So I go in there, and all the other big reporters are in there. And, people from the Seattle Times, which is the biggest one, the ESPN, NBC, all the radio outlets. I don't know anybody. Nobody knows me. I walk in there with the guy I'm replacing. He's like walking me through it all. He actually works for the Athletic now too. He's my editor. But he walks me in there, shows me where we're sitting, just like I'm meeting everybody and things like that. It's very very intimidating thing 'cause it's like a big war room with like 20 rows, and they all know each other. Right? For the most part, in the Seahawks media corp, it's changed since, but at the time, everyone had covered all those Super Bowl runs together, and they had just watched basically these young pups become these stars, and I was new, didn't know nobody, and I'm black too, so it was like how many black people was in that room? I'm pretty sure there was one black dude writing. There might have been someone on the radio side. I'm not sure. Maybe a TV person. I don't know. But there was one other black writer in there. I'm sure. So like that's intimidating in itself because not only you're walking into like a boys' club, essentially, you're walking to a boys' club, but none of the boys look like you. And there's an age gap too. I walked in there at let's see, 2017, April 20. I was 24, I think. So you're talking about a bunch of middle-aged white guys who are all end up being the homies, but like that first day, it's like the first day of school. It's like, damn, I don't know none of y'all. Y'all don't know me. Y'all don't look like me. Y'all don't talk like me. Y'all don't dress like me. So it was kind of awkward. Turned out all right, but yeah, that first weekend of covering the draft was probably my first time. Super awkward.
And what would you say, kind of bouncing off of that, what would you say really is your advantage and helps you stand out? Like you said, being in that room where there's so many people that are different than you. What is that like? What do you feel like is your advantage in comparison to the other writers?
Oh, I mean, it's pretty simple. Like on that day, they drafted. Let's see, give me an example of a guy they drafted. They drafted Shaquille Griffin, um, who is black dude from Florida, has dreads, and was at the time like 22. Right, so it's like even though he's from Florida, I'm from Seattle. The minute he walks in the building and sees the press corps, the first person he's gonna, unless someone covered UCF, the first person he's gonna not recognize, but like identify with is me, right? Like whether it's the hair, the skin, the age. The age thing is really important too, because I think that's a bigger gap than people realize. Like I can't explain how many times I've had to tell my coworkers what the blue hat emoji means when a player tweets it or posts it on an Instagram page. Like, but I understand, right? Like I don't need to decipher that. Like I already know like what cap means. It's just little stuff like that. That you don't have to explain. It's that actually has given me a real advantage. The age part, perhaps more than anything, because the NFL locker room is the rookies are 22 to 24 max, 23 tops probably, and then the oldest vet you'll get is probably mid 30s. Every once in a while you'll get like a really old dude like Aaron Rodgers or something, Tom Brady, Drew Brees. For the most part, I'm in the bracket, right? We all watching the same shows, we're wearing the same kicks, we're listening to the same music, like we're fawning over the same women. Like I don't know how many dudes on the O line really follow Meg Thee Stallion on Instagram. Like we're all doing the same thing for the most part. So like that all really really helps because at the end of the day, my job is to humanize the athlete, in a sport that just dehumanizes them naturally. And it's a lot easier to do that when your human experience aligns with their human experience.
I love that. A great way to explain that. And bouncing from that perfect segue, you're setting me up real nice here in this tennis match. But I wanted to ask you about a locker room guy, someone that maybe is unexpected. Maybe the national media doesn't cover them as closely or intently, but they mean so much to the current roster. Who would that guy be and why?
To the current roster, that's a good question. I would say KJ Wright, linebacker, is probably one of those guys because he's just respected. I think in that locker room, it's results based, and it has been for a while. And by that I mean that because this organization is known to have success, right? It's not like the Browns or the Jets or the Jaguars, like they haven't had success.
Right.
Guys who are coming in, yeah, take some shots a little bit, but it really sets the example, like, because when you come in here, like, perfect example, Carlos Dunlap, right, and Quandre Diggs both got traded here within the last year. Jamal Adams too, right? They came from places where they were losers, right? They lost. No one went. That's just how they. When they went to work, they worked hard, and on work day they lost, right? Every day and day in day out. Here in Seattle, that's not the case. You work hard and you win. And you look at the people who are responsible for that. Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, Russell Wilson. So you respect them because they have what you don't have. They have like a championship pedigree. They're winners. Right? When you're on your couch with your girl in January watching the postseason, you're watching Russ. Right? You're watching KJ. You're watching Bobby make a play. And you want that. You want to be there. Jamal's never played in the playoffs before. I think Carlos Dunlap has like once, right? Like they want that. So guys like KJ, um, he's really respected in that way, not just because in a way that people wouldn't think. Bobby is too, but like KJ, he really cares about bringing all the other guys up. Like he's the OG in the room, whether it's telling you how to invest in your body, telling you what not to eat, um, helping you with the film, making sure that like, okay, man, put some money here. Don't buy the Burberry hoodie that you want to buy. Do this, like he'll help you with your money management, your real estate. Like those are very important guys because these dudes coming here wide eyed from wherever college, just wanting to turn up. Right? They're in the NFL, they made it, and it's about the work and balancing the turn up. So I think KJ is really important, like stabilizing some of those dudes. That's why he's the PA rep, for the Seahawks NFL because he cares about players. He cares about you, becoming a better dude and balling out. Like he's really good at taking guys under his wing in that way. And because he's not like a perennial Pro Bowler or All Pro, he's probably not a name people would think of right off the bat. But I think him being the PA rep for the Seahawks says a lot.
With winning the Super Bowl being the ultimate goal, what do the Seattle Seahawks need to do to stay alive? Now, for the remainder of the regular season, their schedule seems fairly simple, but with their loss to the Giants not that long ago, it exposed definitely some gaps within this team. So, in your opinion, what do they need to do to make sure that they stay in this thing?
I think I had to remind a bunch of people this week that we're dealing with a bunch of grown men here, and that comes with a lot of things, right? That comes with egos, comes with stubbornness, comes with emotional roller coasters sometimes, and that was at play in the loss to the Giants. It wasn't the fact that the Giants played them defensively in a way that they've never seen before. Russ is in year 9. He has seen probably literally every coverage you could possibly throw at the man. He just decided not to attack it a certain way. They took away the deep balls to DK Metcalf. He was like, nah, 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 I'm gonna get this. And the Giants were like, no, you're not. We're gonna sack you if you sit there and wait for that. And that's stubbornness, right? That's ego. I'm gonna no. You can't take away my strength. It's gonna be my strength regardless. And like as a I'm a big basketball player. So when I recognize it when I see it. I'm right-handed. So if you sit on my right hand, I'm not just gonna keep trying to beat you to my right. That's stupid. You're taking away my strength. I'm gonna get good with my left and beat you, right? So I think, and that's for me putting my pride to the side, checking my ego. So I think that's their biggest problem going forward, is when teams decide like, hey, our game plan is take away number 14. Russ, deal with that. He should be able to say, okay, I can deal with it. Like when the Cardinals did that in week six, or no, excuse me, week seven on Sunday Night Football, Tyler Lockett had 20 targets. Not that hard, right? Get 200 catches or 200 yards and three touchdowns. So I think it's the ego part. It's not even the schematic part. Russ is going to beat cover two, cover four, cover six. Doesn't really matter. He's that good. The defense is playing well. The running backs are healthy. The O line's pass protecting well. It's upstairs. It's mental. And actually, I think that's the best problem for the Seahawks to have. As crazy as that sounds, because it's not schematic. It's not talent. It is quite literally your star player and the offensive coordinator just taking their egos, putting them in a box, putting them on a ribbon, and stashing the box under the drawer until they get to the Super Bowl. And I have confidence they'll do that because Russell Wilson literally has a mental conditioning coach. Like, I'm not joking. He has someone who coaches his mind. His name is Trevor. Great guy. He's worked with Alabama, Florida State, a bunch of high-level college programs, Georgia. He wrote a book with Russell. Like, no, if anyone can turn their mind around, it's Russell Wilson. He just needs to do it soon here.
And right before we plug your socials, any predictions on the season, on the record?
When you write about TV, or excuse me, write about football for a living in a town like this, when people see you, they ask you two things. They ask you whether the team's going to go to the Super Bowl and whether they can get tickets. I mean, and this year, that second thing has been alleviated because of the pandemic, but the first thing does not go away. Uh, I think earlier in the year, I predicted them going like 12-4, and I chopped it up. That wasn't just an arbitrary number. I figured they would sweep the NFC East. That's 4 wins. I figured they would go 3-1 against the AFC East and lose to the Patriots. They beat the Patriots but lost to the Jets, so that's 7-1 right there. I figured they would go 3-3 in the division. I think they're 2-2 right now, but 3-3 that'd be 10-4. And then when you're the second place team the year prior, you play all of the other second place teams in the divisions that you don't play the next year. So for them, that's Minnesota and Atlanta. Those teams both stink, so I figured they would have beat both teams. There's 12-4. So they're sitting at 8-4 right now, and the Rams will look really, really, really good. So I'll probably have to amend that a little bit, and I imagine they could go 3-1 this final stretch, beat the Jets, beat the Washington football team, probably beat San Francisco in the finale, probably lose a close one to the Rams. That gets you 11-5, probably get to the 5 seed, the 6 seed. If you're the 5, you're probably going to beat the NFC East winner in the first round, I'm sure, whether it's Washington or the Giants, to be honest. And then that probably sends you to New Orleans, I would guess, being the lowest remaining seed. And it's a crapshoot from there. So I think they're destined to be a divisional round team for sure. Like they've always been. That's the furthest they've gotten since 2014 when they lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So I think they can get back there again. Can they get further than that? We'll see. That's probably going to mean a road game at the Rams, a road game at Lambeau Field, a road game in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Can they win a game there? I don't know. But I think they're, no matter what, destined to be in the second round of the playoffs.
And for people that want to connect with you, read your work, which is awesome, by the way, how can they do so?
Thank you. They can follow me on Twitter at Mike Dugar, MikeDugar. That's honestly the simplest way I always tweet my stuff. I'm always sharing links. I have the link to my author page at The Athletic in my bio, so you don't even got to bother and typing in the site in your browser. I always pin my Seahawks Man to Man podcast at the top of my page, so you don't even got to search for that. I usually pin the iTunes version. But iTunes, I'm dating myself. The Apple Podcast version. But we're on Spotify. We're on The Athletic. You do not have to subscribe to The Athletic to listen to the podcast. It's free there. We're on Google Podcasts, I believe. Pretty much everywhere you get podcasts, we're probably on there except like Tidal. So make sure you check that out. I do it with my homie Chris Kidd. He's my producer / co-host. The show wouldn't be possible without him. We try to have fun, laugh, and hopefully cover a team that goes to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining me today. And that will conclude our formal interview together. Thanks so much.